Welcome back to another video, doing another review video this week, and we are looking at the Fanatec Clubsport Shifter SQ. So now we've got the box out of the way. When you get the shifter out, the first thing that really struck me is the weight to it. It feels like a good quality product, which is always a nice thing, and its construction is nearly entirely, I think, metal, and that goes a long way as well to just giving you that overall sense of build quality. It's also nice you get two knobs with it. It's nice they include both of those. I'll come on to the reason why you get two in a second. So the reason for the two knobs, and the reason why I chose this shifter over others, is the fact that this is able to easily run H pattern or sequential mode. Benefits of that obviously means you get kind of effectively two shifters in one. You've got the H pattern, or you can just flick a switch and you run in sequential mode. That makes this shifter a fantastic all-rounder. You're effectively getting two for the price of one. Some people want to have two, so they've got the separate inputs on their rig. You know, they have the two setups. I just wanted to have one because of space, so it works for me. I'll come on to it in a little bit more detail. I don't think, as a sequential shifter, it's the best sequential shifter money can buy. As an H-pattern shifter, I don't think it's the best H-pattern shifter money can buy, but I think it does a really good job at being both. And for me, at the price it's at, that's a win-win. Right then, now we're in a little bit closer, gives you a little bit of an appreciation for the shifter. Just the one kind of socket on this, and that's obviously runs direct to your Fanatec wheelbase, which means if you're running a PlayStation compatible wheelbase, you can run it in PlayStation. If you want to run it direct to the PC, you are going to have to buy a USB dongle, which I think is a little bit of a con from Fanatec. I think they could easily chuck that in the pack. But I guess most people are probably running this within the Fanatec ecosystem, so they're just straight into their wheelbase. So it's in H pattern at the moment. You can see there's a fairly good clunk to each of the shifters. I like that. I like the way that feels when you're engaging the gear. It's not the firmest thing in the world, but equally it does give you a nice resistance, and that resistance is also adjustable. You can run into there, you can make your adjustments in there, and you can up the resistance, which is quite nice. You might notice on this one, if I tip it upside down, it makes a little rattle, and that's because on the side here we've got these tiny little T slot nuts that come in the pack. You undo a screw at the bottom here, and then that enables you to use these T slot nuts and mount it on your rig. Now for me, I use a mounting plate from another company that fits nicely into these, fits onto my aluminium profile. There's loads of other options out there and loads of different ways of mounting it. We've got mounting options with these T slot nuts. We've also got options into the bottom as well. We've got the same options for slot nuts on the side. Coming around the side, you can see here we've got these two options, and this is our slider to move us from H pattern to sequential. Now you can do it on one side, but they are on both sides, and it's easier if you do both sides at the same time. And that puts us into sequential mode, means we're no longer moving left and right, we've just got our forward and backwards. I'll come on to the feel when we're on the rig. Generally though, I'm very impressed with the build quality. I think it's a nice feeling thing. The weight adds to that feeling of build quality. I like all the metals. It feels like very good value for money around this price point. When you're actually on the rig and you're in H pattern mode, I like the resistance levels we've got when we're changing between gears. I also like you've got a kind of road car style push down when you want to engage reverse. And I think it does feel quite realistic. It doesn't feel like a race car gearbox, but it gives you level resistance and immersion you'd expect from the materials in this price point. It is more expensive than some of the entry-level Thrustmaster options, for example, but when you look at the materials here and the feel you get with it, I think it's worth that extra expense for that extra feel. I think the two are on parallel. In sequential mode, it's got a pretty good feel. It's a little on the light side, I would say, for sequential. I've only ever driven one race car with a sequential gearbox in this style, and it was a lot heavier than this. So I think if you're looking for that true sequential immersion, this probably isn't the H pattern or the sequential shifter for you. But as I said at the start of this video, if you're looking for something that does both, it has got a very good feel. It's just not quite there in sequential mode for me. There we have it then, guys. That is my review of the Fanatec Clubsport Shifter SQ. As you can probably tell in the video, I'm really impressed with it. I'm really pleased with it. I think it represents great value for money. There's a lot of options out there in the market, but for me, this does both H pattern and sequential very well, and it meets that gap that I need. As I said, if you wanted purely sequential and you really wanted that feel, this might not be the one for you. But if you want something that can do both very well, it's a no-brainer. Hopefully you enjoyed that review video. If you did, please do consider hitting that like button, and if you're not already, subscribing to the channel. But other than that, I shall say thanks very much for watching.